Welcome everyone to the AMP Webtalk. About AMP, I would like to share that AMP stands for Association of Muslims Professionals and is registered in India, USA, UK, and Australia as a non-profit organization. AMP has completed its 12 years of serving our community in various fields such as education, employment, and empowerment. AMP has a vision to positively impact life of 10 million people by the year 2030. Um, to empower Muslims for the greater benefit of the society in general and nation as a whole is our mission. AMP's vision is to be a model Muslim community which is advanced in education, socially progressive, culturally vibrant, politically influential, and economically dynamic. So, what AMP has achieved is right in front of you all in the slide. Please have a look at it. These are our projects, SDPs, school development programs, employment assistance cell, scholarships and self-employment, AMP Resource Center, award and partnerships. So beside all the above said achievement, which you saw in the previous slide, AMP is present today is in front of you. AMP got more than 100 active chapters. We are present in 25 states and 16 countries with more than 6,000 active members and volunteers. AMP's online presence is through various social media platforms where more than 1,25,000 professionals are connected to us via different social media platforms. If you are willing to be a part of AMP and its community work, you can join us at www.ampindia.org/joinamp. All right, so welcome again. I'll quickly move on to the session, and I see a lot of people have already joined us. I would like to welcome everyone on behalf of AMP. I'm your host today. My name is Humaira. I'm working as Operations Manager at AMP USA. Along with me, we have Mr. Mohammad Shansha Ansari, who's the President of AMP USA from Columbus. I would like to introduce you all to the speaker of today's session, Mr. Shah Siddiqui Sahab, who is the CEO of Reed Academy. He's a career coach, training consultant, and a management faculty with more than 2 decades of experience in the area of management sciences. We also have with us Mr. Saeed Saab, who's the Director of Technology at Swift E-Learning Services. And before I hand over to Mr. Shah Saab, I will request everyone to please utilize your time by paying attention to the speaker. If you have any questions, you can ask using Q&A section that is underneath your Zoom window. Questions must be very specific to today's topic. We will have a 15 to 20 minutes question and answer round after the speaker is done with the lecture. Over to you, Shah Saab.
Thank you, Ms. Amira.
Thank you, sir.
I hope my voice is clear and the video camera is turned on.
Yes, it is perfect.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Welcome back. I appreciate your logging in today on our day 5 of phase 2 series webinar on soft skills. And we have a very soft topic today. And before I get to you all, I saw some, before we get started, I just have a small announcement. Feel free to use the chat box, anyone when there is a technical error, because Ms. Samira, your voice was a bit lagging just now, but maybe from my side, or I don't know. So I hope my voice is clear. If my connection is weak for any reason, feel free to send me a message on the chat box, which I have it always on. Okay, today we will be talking about actually summarizing on the soft skills module that we have paid attention throughout this phase and the last phase. So the topic for today is 10 soft skills that managers need or that anyone would require. And we would try to summarize this to 10, although we would be focusing on a few or at least a few more going forward. So before I get to the slides, I just want to talk to you a bit about what we plan to do today. So we have chosen 10 as the top 10 soft skills that everyone needs, especially the managers need. And we started out with emotional intelligence, time, stress management, and so forth. And we did spend some time um, summarizing or a bit, in detail with regards to the communication strategies, as well as we had a special request, or based on some demand that we saw, we also had English conversation and business writing module thrown in. So with that, we are in a good position to summarize everything that we have learned. So we would talk about 10 most important soft skills that everyone needs to have. Of course, we'll try to look at, from its prevalence and not worry too much about what we have already talked. But this also means that we are in a position to move up. We have spent enough time on core soft skills, and we will be summarizing everything that we did so far. And then we will be slightly taking a turn towards some advanced topics or a diversified area, which will once again build on the soft skills that you all have looked at. So I'm guessing you all have been journeying through well, getting along with the way I have designed the topics, and also getting probably a better idea by now about the way I think, the way, I'm trying to get you into moving ahead with the soft skills that we need. So many times we never talked about hard skills. So it's summarizing today, we would take a look at the hard skills, and once we summarize it, we'll step out a bit outside the soft area into a little bit of hardcore soft area, or hardcore hard area, and see how we can bridge the gap, or how we can have a common bridge. So that's the purpose of summarizing these skills and then moving along. And what other advantage of summarizing the skills is also to imply that you guys have moved up towards being in a senior position, or in a high position, in a mid-level to senior position. So you can utilize the soft skills and then impart. You can see how you can adapt to these soft skills or the newer skills that you run into and move on. So this is also to tell you that you are moving up, graduating from the soft area that we were trying to talk about at a basic level, and then how to use these in the future areas. In the sense, how we would apply the applications of the soft towards business decision making, towards business transactions, and most importantly, towards the attainment of organizational goals. So this is all the way in line with the business goals and the strategic goals and the unit goals and the functional goals. Any goal that you have aligned to your position, along to your profile, along to your organizational strategy, is where you would apply these soft skills. So the purpose of summarizing is to make sure that we have everything. And for those of you who have been tuned in, then you would have a better idea, as we would be revisiting some of these topics. And for those of you who are tuning in today, who just joined today, it's a chance for you to look at the topics. And of course, we still have the student manual, the guide available for you to build on it. And then sky's the limit when it comes to building on your skills and capabilities as far as knowledge is concerned. So that's the purpose of summarizing this. This would be a short module. We would finish it today, and we wouldn't have videos or cases, cases, but not videos and questionnaire done, as we have touched some of the topics. So we move on towards taking a look at how these topics would be applied in our future usage. With these topics in hand, in our grip, we would move on. So that's the purpose. And we'll also try to look at some peripheral topics within the social area, and how we can bridge the social in a corporate context, and how we would use topics such as empathy within intelligence, and how we can measure our EQ, and then how we would also once again look at the newer topics, okay, when it comes to soft topics which are not clearly written down in business journals or in the corporate policies. And then our strategy remains the same. You all would continue doing the way we have been when it comes to business writing or English conversation, as well as our approach, which remains the same, systems approach. And then once again, not to be confused with computers, but this is a holistic approach. And you do have to remember three things when we take this approach. Number one, we talked about it, which is systems thinking. and epistemologies, where you have to build on the knowledge. This is the science, the branch of science that believes in the knowledge of knowing. So this is just so you continue with your habit of reading. Whatever comes your way is what you would read. And we talked about how you would build your knowledge in the social area as opposed to the business area. And then we would also look at the second point, which is managing complexity, solutions, how we would apply our soft skills um, knowledge in managing complexity, which is finding solutions. And lastly, with a high regard for sustainable development, we would move on. So the strategy remains the same and the approach remains the same. So let's take a look at what we have in the top um, 10 soft skills that we have chosen. And I'm trying to load the slides here. And the best we can get out of these soft skills. So to begin with, we have we always start out with soft skills. Do you all see the slides? I can't. Okay, is the slides visible in a presentation format? Somebody can just type Y.
I can see 10 soft skills for manager slide.
All right. Okay, yeah, I see it at the bottom. Okay, so we're good to go, and let's get into this topic, the 10 soft skills needed for the manager, especially when you are in a managerial position. We'll get started here, and we'll pay a little bit of our time talking about the hard versus the soft skills. Now, 10 years ago, if someone were to ask me what soft skills are, I wouldn't know. So that's how we would start out. This is a relatively newer topic. So people may still not be familiar with what exactly soft stands for. A lot of people don't even like the word soft, okay? And sometimes they're also known as smart skills. But as long as you know that the hard skills, are or have been there historically and traditionally, we have always focused on working on the hard skill, but we never paid attention to the soft skill. Well, we started recently. So in the recent past, what happened was there was a revolution when it comes to assets. People were more concerned about not just physical assets, but non-physical assets. And when it comes to liquidity, people were not just concerned about how you could get cash flow, but you could also cash on your knowledge. So with these changes, deregularizations, everything became, from tall to flat. Everything became from, leader-oriented to employee-oriented, from workers to human capital. With these things in focus, or with these things coming up, the organization, the top organization, the corporation, paid attention to their human capital, to the behavior, and to see how employees or the human capital can be the best source of sustained competitive advantage for the organization. So this is how we came up with hard and soft. So hard will get you in, okay, but soft are known as smarter skills, will let you stay there, okay, will help you, move ahead, flow up. And when we started our other module, we talked about how to lead businesses, okay. The purpose of our webinars and everything that we're doing is not just to be surviving there, but also to be in a leading position or a leadership role, and all the way up till you get to the topmost administrative position in an organization. So that would be our purpose of moving along, and we will touch base this topic, every now and then as we move on in your future modules. So the soft skills, will allow you to work effectively. The soft skills, it seems, will let you stay in the job, okay? And with the soft skills, you will not be fired, simply put. So this is, how you would look at it. Now, where does the soft skills come in from? Is the basis for our, for the origin, is the basis for these topics gaining so much popularity or getting so much, in demand. So these derive from, a sociological term, which is relating to a person's emotional intelligence quotient, this is not to be confused with your intelligence quotient. So we have an IQ and we have an EQ. So emotional is what we would work on. Take a look at this slide, which is the objectives for today's session, summarizing these 10 skills, how these are important, how you can use them, and how you can apply. So we're moving ahead with our application of these soft skills in a business context, in an organizational context, or when it comes to an implementation of strategy, how and where we would pay attention. So the tools that you had learned about how to manage time or how to manage stress or how to be emotional intelligent is not we would be talking about today, but we'll try to use this and build on it for our business decision making. So a simple slide.
I'll just let you know that the slide, it is not on presentation mode. I can just see the first slide. Your screen we can see only. So
It's not on the presentation mode?
No, not yet.
Well, it is on my side.
Okay, so can you please reshare the screen?
Okay. Hold on. Okay, what does it look now?
I think it's better, but again, it is still the first slide I can see, but it's not on presentation mode still. So what we can do is that you can unshare your screen and then you can share it again.
Okay. I stop share and reshare.
It's perfect now.
Okay.
So yes.
Presentation?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. It looks like the batteries in my keyboard are weak. Could be the reason.
Maybe, sir.
All right. So these were the objectives that we just talked about. And then we would try to look at its application. Now, this is the slide that you have seen in the past. Okay. So everything that we do here is derived from EQ, emotional. Now, you have to remember that the soft skills are in demand because of EQ, but not because of your IQ. Okay. IQ is something that you can measure it and see what your IQ is. But EQ is something that you can learn. It's learnable. Every person is supposed to be inbuilt with some emotional skills or some soft skills. But then the best part about these skills is these are learnable. These can be infused in a personality by the right kind of training. And of course, the training involves interaction, the exercises that are given to you, and the right type of training. So that's what we would look at as the brighter side of soft skills. Now, this is an old slide. You may have seen it. Another way of defining soft skills, as you can see, is through these 4 terms. And we talked about empathy, in much detail. We'll take a look at confidence, networking, and communication today, although we did a 2-day session on communication also. All right, now here we connect empathy with an emotional intelligence quotient. Now, what does EI, the first topic that we did, or the most popular these days, what does EI entail? It just entails playing with your emotions. How would you manage? How would you control? And how would you have it in reference to somebody else's emotion? It's not proper to say that you can even control others' emotion, but an emotional intelligent person can also probably control other emotions, okay? Because the other person is also not emotionally intelligent or not EI proficient or doesn't have EI in his grip. So for the same reason, you would be able to manage emotions both ways. But empathy plays a big picture. All right. There were some queries with regards to empathy. So I want to say 2 things. You need to have empathy, okay? Or an empath is one person who is having soft skills inbuilt in him, okay? Who already has soft skills, with him. But you have to remember, if you're not an empathy related guy, or if you're not something who will radiate empathy, or if you're not an empath, which is nothing but a highly sensitive person, you do have to know that you have to get to those, situations where you can see empathy, which means that you should be able to see the scenario from somebody else's feeling. And empathy doesn't relate to only seeing the pain in a person or seeing his sufferings and trying to be courteous or trying to be generous. It doesn't just relate to seeing the sufferings, because there are two things. One is you have to see where the person is coming from. And at the same time, you also have to be giving out emotions towards him. So if a person who is born an empath or who's a highly sensitive person can work out to be good and bad in the area of business decision making or in an organizational problem solving area. How is that? If you ask me, an empath is a very highly sensitive person, and he can be very sensitive to somebody else's needs. And he can be so sensitive that he wouldn't be able to see his own benefit. He wouldn't be able to look at self-care. Now, self-care is equally as important as helping others. We'll also talk about this in teamwork today. But if a person is not able to help his own self, and if he's only being able to help, his coworker, his colleague, or his supervisor, then he's being a loser. And you run into this situation a lot of time where, people almost cry, but they cannot, stand up and say something in their advantage. So they would go on taking weaker positions or less profitable standing, or being in a situation where they would have to come up with a lot of efforts, and then be be in an equation where they seem biased. So a person who's very highly sensitive would have to be able to harness his emotional skills. He would have to be able to set up and say no. So this is what we would look at as an empath. So if you are a highly sensitive person, then it's okay. You have to step back and be able to harness your skills. And if you're not, you have to you have to bring in, through the right kind of training and practice, how to manage emotions. And this is basically self-awareness, self-control, and self-management. So this is something I wanted to talk about on the empathy aspect of emotional intelligence, because that's what comprises of the the components in EI. All right, we saw emotional intelligence as a major skill. Now we'll move on to a very general area, which is professionalism. Okay, it might look like it's a very common area that everyone can easily be a professional, and there is some confusion. There are also some drawbacks of the term professional or a professionalism. A professional is always also seen to be very tough, not very sensitive to your needs, or being very strict. So if you have a university teacher who's very strict, the other way of looking at him is, although you don't say, I heard he's very strict, but you just say he's a very professional. He's a professional or a total professional. So professionalism, entails a lot of other things other than just being well-dressed, other than just having a firm handshake, other than just having a good eye contact, and other than trying to be not approachable. Because this is also one area of profession where people think that, it's very difficult to approach him. He's not like a person where I can just walk in, and talk to him. But that's not true. So professionalism relates to a lot of things. It's like 10 factors that you need to be having in you to be a total professional, or that's what professionalism entails. So let's take a look at what it is. I mean, the three that you see on the slide are pretty commonly seen or commonly taken, but let's look at what else we have. They're always reporting to work on time. Okay. We don't have those many, but you do have to know, it should be in your manual where there may be like at least 7 more points where you can see what professionalism is. It starts out by being very sensitive to your needs, okay? And it starts out by being very generous. Okay, that's a definition of professionalism. It starts out by being open and having an open door policy. And then it starts out by being totally approachable. So if a person is approachable and if he is allowing, criticism of his own self in a constructive manner, then that would be professionalism. It would not be, a closed area. It would not be a closed area where people cannot approach him and cannot come back to him. And then professionalism also entails having a feedback. And professionalism also entails having a social skill, or being socially intelligent in how you would react after hours, how you would be able to socialize with your employees, in a manner which is within the boundaries of within the boundaries of your business decision making, within the boundaries of your business um, culture. So these are the topics that entail professionalism, and there are three on the screen, but I'm sure you can find it on the video or on the study guide. So that's one area of soft skills that we would like for you to be aware of. Learn versus inborn traits. Um, a person's intelligence is usually inborn, but a trait which can be learned are sociological traits, which are nothing but soft skills. So these traits are a bunch of personality related features, and they start with your communication skills, your social graces, your friendliness, your ability to adapt, your ability to be flexible, your ability to be smiling all the time. So these are the traits that can be built, that can be learned for a person to be emotionally aware, or emotionally intelligent, or be having these soft skills learned. So this is the difference between intelligence and emotional, IQ and EQ. Both can be measured, but EQ is something that you would build on with your skills. I don't know if I have the iceberg model in this um, workshop, but I would like for you all to revisit the iceberg model and see how some of the traits are hidden under the water. And these are the traits that the newer recruitment techniques are looking at, because these traits are what will predict an employee's probable behavior in the future. And this is what the recruiters are looking at it now. The so-called sociological, psychological testing, or psychological assessment. If you look at this slide, intelligence based on emotion. This is also to say how people who can understand their emotions are less depressed, are healthier and more enjoyable, having better relationship, at work and at home. And social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions. So, this is very important to be believing in social and emotional intelligence, although they both are derived, from your EQ. This is a slide from the past. Whenever we take up a soft skill, we believe in systems thinking. We believe in the knowledge of knowing. We're believing in how this would help manage your situation at work and for the greater good, sustainable development. So these are the four topics that we started out with, with our approach. And this is in your advantage. This is in your best advantage to have this in mind. So here you will start out with your strategy of building on your knowledge. This is how soft skills are best approached. And you all know what sustainable development is. This is, the very promising topic these days was in the international arena. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is what every country, every organization, and every viable institution is trying to be in line with. So this is about how you could bring a good, for the future without having to pay by the present. This is one way of looking at it. This is where environment and development issues, come together. Or this is where economical, political, you know, environmental, and sociological, or every domain meets, which means that has to be a win-win situation. When we talked about emotional intelligence, I quoted some from Goleman, Daniel Goleman. He is a very famous author who first wrote the book on emotional intelligence. So this is for you all to, keep that handy, or he who is building on EI skills, should most likely read the book, or at least the summary. This is about how business cases are relying on EI. EI is actually a competency. I hope you all remember the word competency from our HRM module that we did in the last phase. The competency is, latest business skill or a business philosophy that every business is building on. And this is also one of the most required skills that we will cover in our next module, which would be business acumen. Okay, here's the iceberg model. These are the hidden traits, and that's what they would like to see in you. And they would have to extract this out of you to be able to see, what your motive traits are. And this is how they would like to hire you in the future. So it's very important for you all to be building on these skills. All right, the next topic of value is communication, and we did do a 2-day session on communication skills or communication strategies. So this is just so you all, refresh yourself, and we'll move fast on here. If there's anything important that we will talk, but I think everything that we did in the past is seen here. But be sure to write down your questions since we're moving fast today for whatever you have in your writing journal, and then this will, then we can talk towards the end. All right, the next skill that I want you all to build on is openness and honesty. Well, everyone knows honesty is the best policy, but seldom do we practice or comply 100% in our work environment, in our workspace, actually. So a person might be honest, very honest in his day-to-day life, in every way that he does in his social circle. But however, there might be some leeway that he would not practice, but he would always doubt about his honesty. He would always think that, well, this is not required. So there are many examples, many cases of honesty. But one of the best advantages of always being honest is you don't have to come up with excuses. So that remains the best policy. There might be reasons for you to be honest, dishonest, but then there is never, a time where you won't have to come up with an excuse as long as you have been honest. So I don't have to say here much, but whatever it is, whether it's just using a resource or whether it's just using a utility like, the electricity or the phone call that you make. I don't want to spell out many other things that I have in my mind, but you have to be, honest, because this meshes with your business decision making. This meshes with your teamwork. This meshes with your evaluations. This meshes with your credentials, and this meshes with your career path. And this will actually, fast track you all the way up. So if you were to check with your senior most manager director about this as a competency or this as an aptitude, you will have an idea, or he will tell you who exactly is honest or not. So for those of you who needs to be on a fast track to the topmost position, I don't have to say much. It is, a skill that you have to build on, and nothing personal. Now, communication strategies, we talked about it, but you also have to remember that many of the soft skills that we're trying to mention today are actually competencies in your HRM system. Is a competency that your manager would like to have in you, or a manager would like to have you trained for. So I hope you all remember what a competency is. It's just the knowledge, skills, and aptitude embedded in an employee. However, if you look at your job description or your job profile, there might be some competencies listed. If you don't see on your job description what competencies are required, then you're still following you're still following the old system. You're still in the legacy area, okay? And there will be time for your organization to move up with finding competencies. Now, the best part about competencies are they are multi-level. They have more than one level, 1, 2, 3, 4 in most cases. Sometimes it's only 3 and sometimes it's 5. So I have communication listed here as a competency on this slide with level 1 as to what is required. So if you are a junior or if you are a trainee, then for the job description that you have and for the position that you have been hired, at level 1, you are expected to have all of these behavioral indicators, they call it. These are indicators that that predict your behavior. So I don't know how clear this is, but this was a competency written by me for a client, and I'm just going to read out the top. On level 1, one of the indicators is to listen attentively to others, encourage them to express their views. And within the 1, you also need to spell correctly the proper usage of grammar, right, using concrete business-specific languages. So you can see how much importance, we have paid to the listening skills. And our English communication, conversation, and grammar writing, or the business writing module, is only fulfilling the first level of your communication as a competency. But if you move up to a junior position or a mid position or a managerial position, you will be expected of having the indicators listed under level 2, okay? So here, I'm going to read the last one. Refrain from immediate judgment and criticism of others. Ideas delivering criticism in a way that demonstrates sensitivity and feelings to others. That's level 2, and it goes on to level 3 and 4. So if you look at the last one in level 4, you will see how much of a competent you have to be when it comes to communication, okay? So your strategy of dropping everything to English speaking is in dire need. So you really have to work on this, and this is a competency of a managerial position at a top corporation, and that's pretty standard. So if your description doesn't list your competencies, then chances are you have some time to work on it, to build on it, and it's a long way to go before they get to you or before you get to them. We're going to move on to teamwork. Now, I just explained one competency, which is communication, and you saw how much it was in 4 levels. Same is the case with teamwork. Teamwork is something that you need to be, affiliated with. And teamwork is also a soft skill, and it's a competency. So once again, you would have 4 levels of indicators in there. It's usually a core competency, okay? So which means that it's a requirement for almost every employee in an organization. So what is about teamwork? Teamwork is about, giving responsibility, integrity, okay, and relevance and trust to other members of your organization. You could be a member of team or you could be a team leader. How would you delegate information? How would you make everyone, understand, or how would you make everyone grasp your project, and how you would expect everyone to be working, on their own in team, taking care of individual deadlines, the team deadlines, and delivering the project. So that's what teamwork entails. Is it a soft skill? Yes, it is a soft skill. So, So the teamwork that we're concerned about is in the area of soft. Of course, delivering a project requires some hardcore hard skills. And of course, that is expected of every employee. Now, when I talked about competencies, I talked about usually the behavioral indicators of these soft skills. However, there are hard skills too that have competencies, which means that there are competencies, okay, relating to their hard skills, which is written in your manuals too. And of course, that would be a requirement when you are hired for the position. But we're only concerned about the soft skills here. So the teamwork, involves capabilities and responsibilities and it goes on, into relevance and further, communicating effectively. So under identifying capabilities for your team members, for yourself, for the entire organization, we have talent, we have skills and resources. We talked about the skill-based, resource-based theory in the past, and we can touch base a bit here now. Now, the resource-based theory talks about how an organization could be resourceful. Now, the resource would have to be non-immutable, non 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 would have to be rare, non-immutable, and then valuable. This relates to a physical resource that an organization that you may have. We use the reference example of Aramco when it comes to resources, because their resource or their product is very cheap. It cannot be imitated and it cannot be substituted, non-substitutable. But when it comes to other resources, the resource relating to your talent, skills, are the knowledge, skills, and capabilities embedded in your employees, in your capital. And sometimes there is cross-functional talent. Teams, very diverse team will be working between different groups within an organization, cross-functional, different interdepartmental. And when you work interdepartmentally or cross-functionally and different, bi-levels, tri-level, then you build on a unique, resource of knowledge. And this knowledge is, visible in a pool of talent or in a database of, your resources. And that's what makes an organization resourceful. So here we're concerned about the knowledge, skills, and capabilities embedded in an employee, in a human capital, in a human resource, and how this can be collected, how this can be pooled, and how this can be used to the advantage of the organization. So this becomes, the best source of competitive advantage based on the talent of the employees. So this is one skill under teamwork. Now the other aspect of teamwork is get into your role. Now what is expected of you? Use your communication skills, know what it is. Now what this actually means is your role is your role profile, or your profile is your JD. So this all comes under an order. So this could be also to the organization's disadvantage. What you do when you get into your role is you work diligently and do what is expected. But sometimes you don't want to exceed your authority. You don't want to go outside your role. Because why? You're given a job description, and any description, any role that is prescribed in the boxes of an organizational structure where the job description fits in is where you are, restricted. So people would say that, well, that's not a part of my job description. I'm sure you may have heard it. So if you hear somebody saying, well, that's not a part of my job description, then that's a negative. That's a negative on your soft area, because you have to get into your role, at the same time exceed your role, be outside your role profile, and not stick to the theoretical aspect of your role, which is a part of your job description, which is fitting in the organizational structure. You have an organizational architecture which comprises of your organizational structure, the rewarding system, incentives, and the culture. And then one aspect of the architecture is your structure, organization structure, under which you have your job description in your profile. So this is to see how the series is, although this is a strategic topic that I just mentioned. But this is about how role is a part of your teamwork and how teamwork is a soft skill. All right. Further on, you will see how you have to adapt to the whole process. Now, this is a simple topic. We're taking a holistic approach here. A systems approach is a systemic approach as opposed to a systematic approach, step by step. You're not only concerned about your own role, your own deliverable, but you are supposed to work in harmony with the other profiles. So the definition of a system is a system comprises of subsystems, and it has parts, and then the sum of the parts do not equate the whole, which means that the whole is greater than the sum. Why? Because the parts interact with each other and come up with something bigger. So when it comes to a system, and system is an example that we're using here, your organization is a system comprising of different subsystems, which is HR, marketing, and then manufacturing if you have, and then inventory if you have, and so forth. So when all these functions interact with each other, the result is greater than the sum. So that's what we mean here. But for your understanding, you just have to know that the whole process is understanding the big picture, the complete picture. So you have to have an idea about how your role fits in the entire organization. And we would be continuing with the topic business acumen, where we will build on this topic, how you need to be stepping out of your soft area and get an understanding of the entire operations in the business. Okay, and that's how you would build on business acumen, which is once again a soft topic. Okay, so it's a competency, it's a soft topic, but you will learn how other functions work. This is what I mean by holistic approach. But in your job position, in your profile as soft skills, you have to know the whole process. So don't just be working for your own stuff, and know what to expect from others and what others are expecting from you, and have a cordial relationship. And then with the teamwork, flow. We talked about flow and fluency just last week. Now, what does flow mean here? What is the best part about flow? You can see you're fully immersed, minimize interruption, high quality. But flow actually relates to a speed where you enjoy working. Okay, your productivity is at the highest, and you get to that point where you have the grip. The flow is once again a slang, okay, and the other slang is got to have the grip. So this is how you would build on teamwork. If you get to the flow, then you have the fluency. Then you are at a point, where your state of being, it's a psychological term, the state of being, of enjoying the work or moving with the fluency. So that's the state we want you to get into when it comes to teamwork. All right, the problem solving ability. Once again, a very top soft skill. It looks very simple, but it's a soft skill. And it's a competency. The reason why I'm stating that it's also a competency that's required is because you get to see how many levels of indicators are under this competency, under problem solving. Now, if you want to see what the levels of indicators are for problem solving, just check out the internet and you'll get to see what problem solving is. So we may not have all the information here, but to take problem more seriously, you have to look at the different levels of indicators, and there are 4 or 5. And then you really have to be a problem solver here. It comes from anywhere, getting to work and being at work and leaving work on time by problem solving or solving problems. This is nothing but managing complexity or being a solutions provider. We have different titles, senior solutions provider. This is what you need to have to be in that position. Okay, here you have to identify the problem. Once you have stepped into problem solving and you need to look at what or how you would do it, you have to understand that this is an area where you have to start by identifying the problem, okay, and assessing the problem, and then it goes on. As you can see symptoms here, this is to know that you're not supposed to treat the symptoms. If there is a problem, you have to get to the root of the problem, as they call it. There is one topic in systems thinking, the root. There is a very important topic in systems thinking. I'm not getting it. I don't remember it, but it has something to do with the root equation. So anyway, you're not to treat the symptoms here, and you are supposed to look at the underlying, or look at the aspect that is creating the problem. So you start out by identifying problems, you take the holistic estate, and then you get to defining the problem. This would be a first step before you would, get to the solution. And once you have a solution, the other way to go is to generate alternative solutions. This is a part of your business acumen where you have to ask for other alternative solutions, which means that don't jump to the conclusion of adopting the first solution. Don't jump to the conclusion of taking the first solution that you have. Look at other solutions. And what we mean by others is giving others the responsibility, giving others the chance to speak, discuss as a group, and then so forth. Evaluate the plans. All the different plans that you would have to evaluate. This is, once again, a methodology used in problem solving. You can read about it in detail, in the literature provided to you or on the video. So you have more than one problem, and you will try to evaluate. You will try to look at alternate solutions, and then once you get to the plan for implementing, you would evaluate the plan, and you would reevaluate as you see it on this slide. So implementation and reevaluation. It's like rechecking. We talked about it in the past. So how would you reevaluate? You would look at the solution that has been provided. You look at it in detail and reevaluate. And one thing you learned about proofreading in the closing aspect of your business writing is how to have your plan reevaluated in a different setting by somebody else, with the same knowledge. So the same philosophy applies here. Time management, we did it in detail. This is summarized here. All right. A few things that we talked about in detail in our time module was, eating that frog and avoiding procrastination. So I hope you all remember it. You have to build on to the lifelong habit of coming in and doing the toughest job of eating that frog first thing in the morning and without taking much time to do it. Because if you know that the whole day will not get by and all you have to do is, the worst thing that happen to you is you have to do the tough task, then you are better off doing it first thing in the morning and knowing that nothing else, would be, an obstacle during your day. And there were many questions on multitasking. Remember, I said a human brain is not designed to multitask. So don't ever try to multitask. And you have another reason here, because you actually spend more time and there is a communication error. You miscommunicate by multitasking. So the best way to look at it is your emotional aspect. If you're looking at your screen and your small screen, or if you're looking at your screen and trying to answer a phone call, then you're stopping your brain here and here, okay? And you're pushing your brain from here to there and there to here. So your brain is not for, misuse, for free. So that was time. And the next one is attitude and work ethics, okay? Now, business ethics is a very important aspect of business. And it is also regionally seen. In some areas, in some parts of the world, ethics is a class that you have to take. And in some parts of the world, if you want to talk about, your area, South Asia, ethics is something that you are supposed to be aware of, something that was already taught at home. That's a part of your culture. So you don't really need to learn what business ethics is. But then either way, if you are not in an ethically defensible position, then you lose, okay? There are many cases, very, many interesting cases, how the top-notch CEOs, Harvard graduates, highly educated intellectuals, did a silly thing that was against the ethic and ended up going to jail, okay? Probably know many guys. One senior CEO, what he did, he moved his bedroom furniture from Paris to New York. Was that ethical? No. One person gave a very lavish party in thousands of dollars for maybe on his birthday using company funds. And then the list goes on. There are many, many companies that broke down, do not exist. One of the topmost consulting firm, Anderson Consulting, does not exist now because of ethical behavior. Enron was one company that was known as the world's best organization when it comes to family friendliness, or you know, senior management did something really stupid, okay, and they all ended up in jail. Martha Stewart from yesteryears, he was in jail. Many governors, I'm citing North American examples. The governor of Illinois is in jail, and while he's in there, the previous governor is also in jail. So, the list goes on. So I don't want to say much about ethics. You have to be positive and you have to be 100% honest. And when it comes to monetary transactions, financial, try to be on the dot, because you have no idea how much stressful it would be and how much it would cost you in the legal fees. All right, so business ethics is a position that you always have to take seriously. And it's known as being in an ethically defensible position. Don't do anything. Don't sign for anyone. Don't write anything. Don't do anything that doesn't belong to you, that doesn't have your name on it. All right, so what are you working for? Positive attitudes, personal goals, and group goals. So there are many areas, gray areas, where you need to be very stern on your positive attitude, very stern on your goals, and very stern on your group goals. So very simple, you can take your own life examples, how your positive attitude helped someone achieve their goal or avoid missing a deadline. How personal goals help you move up on your career path, and how personal goals are equally important as your group goals, are a part of your group goals. So what are you working for? You're working for, there are ways of looking at it, and it's many a times taken as not to be saying that you're working for the monies, for the salaries. And then there is a term like job satisfaction, okay, that you would look at as we move on. So with this, the topic is attitude and work ethics, okay? Business ethics is a competency, a separate competency. The attitude is your behavior, your personal nature. And here you have to look at how you are positive, how you are having your personal goals achieved in accordance with the group goals. So there would be a question that we run into all the time, whether you should care for yourself or should care for others. So I'm sure some of you may be thinking, well, it's a good thing to care for others. Is it good to care for others? Remember, when you're taking off, they say that at times of turbulence, put on your mask first before you help others, okay? There's a reason behind that. You have to put on your mask for breathing so that you are in a position to help others. So the same thing applies here. You have to care for your own self in an organizational context, be in a position where you have learned the skill and be able to delegate before you worry for somebody else. So I hope I'm clear here. Caring for yourself is in line for caring for others. Caring for yourself comes first, then caring for others, before caring for others. So take care of yourself and the business will take care of you. Or take care of the business will take care of yourself. Everyone is interconnected. I hope this part is clear. Building trust. Everyone will thrive. Openness and honesty continuously demonstrate. I hope I don't have to stress here by saying how you can build trust among your coworkers and among your seniors. So when it comes to deadlines, trust is an area that is in focus. When it comes to meeting deadlines and delegation, trust is an area. And when it comes to being bombarded with work and patience is of virtue, then trust is in the works. So you have to look at these areas where trust is being built and you have to act decisively. What's in action? Once again, these are your soft skills, especially these emotional skills. Okay. How you're helping somebody else after hours by being an empath, at the same time, trying to be having emotions in control. Because if you are a highly sensitive person and you don't know how to harness your emotions, then once again, you are caring for him and not for yourself. So that's about building trust. Work is its own reward. What does this mean? It means that you are not working to get paid, but you're working, to work. This is not to be misunderstood saying that money is of no value. Well, money is. But if you look at the Herzberg's model and principle, money used to be a motivator, but it's not anymore. It has been proven that money is not the biggest motivator, or it comes second. Okay. There is satisfaction, there is reward of being recognized, and there is reward of getting paid, both monies and medals and you know um, recognition. So here this slide is to talk about work as its reward. You will gain financially and professionally, engaged and trustworthy, practice gratitude. So this is just to say that you are to enjoy the work and work for its, for the real work, which is the reward. And of course, what follows is your financial gains. What follows is your monetary improvements, and what follows is your recognition, and your status with high salaries or an increase in your salary. And that's why they have these performance-based incentives where they just don't want to give you the salary, but base it on your performance. All right. The next soft skill that we're going to talk about is adaptability and flexibility. Now, once again, a very simple and common term, but it's a soft skill. And once again, this is a very important competency. Why competency? Because there are indicators attached to it. So there's a lot under adaptability and flexibility. In fact, many organizations, many senior positions, have this competency as the topmost requirement for the position. Okay, so adaptability and flexibility, it looks simple, but it is a very important thing. Now, sometimes adaptability and flexibility is also seen as compromise or compromising. So this is not to be misunderstood or not to be taken as a negative, because some people think that it's more of a cultural thing, saying that sorry is an admission of guilt, which means that if you say sorry, then you're accepting that you're guilty. No, but not in well, in some parts of the world, yeah. So they don't want to say sorry, and in some parts of the world, they start out with sorry. Okay, so apologizing or writing, regretting or trying to have some, taking some moral responsibility is considered an adaptability and flexibility skill, while it is not to be taken as a negative sign of having weak emotions or a lack of emotions. So there's more on adaptability, but I just thought of talking about this part. All right, there's another syndrome called getting over the good old days syndrome. How would you get over and be more adaptable and flexible? Here, flexibility is a lot, right from the time you walk in your work environment, right to the resources that you have, right to the teamwork that you display, right to the projects that you have been delegated, the tasks given to you, the deadlines, all involve you to be flexible and be able to adaptable. And one hindrance would be a syndrome known as getting over the good old days syndrome. Now, there is a position called plateau salesperson or a plateau employee. Plateau is like a flat land, as you all know. They move up and plateau. So plateaued employees, they always want to talk about how things were when they were young or when they were new or when, the things started. So they always like to say that, well, it's not like the good old days. Okay, so that's the syndrome. You have to get over it. So you have to look at how things were back then, how there was no internet, or how the internet was so slow, how there was a dial-up, how we didn't get to achieve what we were, and how we didn't get to get paid right away. So these are the things you have to think of and get over the good old syndrome. Changing to managed process. This is a very important area of business. Here you have to understand that everything is based off processes. Okay, processes is what give you the future. Processes is what gave you the right solution. Understanding the processes is what gave you the software that was needed, the solution in the form of a software. And we talked about appreciative inquiry just last week. And then I talked about the importance of how to bring about the change by looking at the processes that work and building on it. So a good example here would be appreciative inquiry. So not just you have to evaluate the processes, but you have to pay attention to how processes change and how you have to also encourage doing that. Changing to manage people. This is once again the aspect of adaptability, how change management comes into the picture, how the attitude shift comes up with change. So you have to know that changing to manage people is by being adaptive to every employee. One employee might be very loud. Okay, one employee might walk into your office without knocking. Okay, they're different. So every employee is different. You have to understand where they're coming from. They might have some physiological challenges. They might have some speech-related challenges if they are very loud. They might have some, motor problems in their skill. So you have to be very, very flexible and adaptable to manage people. You have to be changing yourself to manage people because that's what, managing human bodies are. So you have to adapt to their style. If they would like to have a meeting with you 6 a.m. in the morning, for whatever reasons they may have, you have to be able to adapt. And you have to make sure that you are an empath. You demonstrate that you are caring. You wait in adaptability. This is an important phrase, showing that you are inward. You have to be so adaptable that you can weigh yourself. So this relates to how you can be open to alternative solutions, new roles, be willing to accept the unexpected. So here, adaptability relates to more of a personal behavior. And this is once again a competency, and you can see how different role profiles, different personalities, and different levels will require you to be at that level and adaptable, which means that your adaptability level would have to be going up. All right, self-confidence. Okay, this is also, a common topic, but I'm not sure if this is a competency. I don't recall seeing it as a competency. But the main hurdle here is to make sure that your self-confidence, is, evident, is clear. And at the same time, you are not to bring in your ego into the picture. So by being self-confident, you are being assertive. You are about delegating work, and you are about rejecting. You are about maybe not accepting some work. But this is, once again, to be sure that you are so self-confident that there is no sign of your ego popping up, so that the employee should not say that, well, this part of the work, this part of the sentence was his ego saying it. Okay, so this is to have a fine balance between your self-confidence, okay, and your ego. This, you can be firm by saying that this is what I believe in, and you have to be, in case of a doubt, in case of confusion, you have to be substantiated with facts about your confidence level. How can people be confident? By not afraid of being wrong. This is one of the most important traits. So You should be able to accept failure. You should be able to accept defeat, which are the traits of a leader, as you all know. Listen, acknowledge your own mistake. This is very important. So if you can acknowledge your mistake, you're a great leader and you are also self-confident. Self-question, and in case if you are in doubt, you should question your own self. How confident are you? I'm honest with others. I'm honest with myself. Some traits to build fast self-confidence: dress your best, practice, be thankful, spend time with people who build you up, which means that acknowledge, your mentors or your teamwork. And this is also to build up others. Do not feel competitive with others. Their success doesn't take away from your own. Acknowledge your situation. This slide tells you that everyone can win, okay? You don't have to be the only winner. By recognizing others, by recognizing their teamwork, and especially some tips that they have acknowledged, you have to know that when you're giving the award to somebody else, you are also the recipient of that award. So everyone wins, or there can be more than one winner. This is the purpose of this soft exercise. All right, this is a very general topic, but we have been focusing on read. As you all know, the force is with you. And this is the ability to learn. When we talk about epistemologies, this is exactly what it means. You should not just believe in learning, but have the ability to learn from every source that comes your way. So what would you like to learn from? A textbook? Fine. If you're in school, you can read from the textbook. But that becomes a handicap. That becomes a practice where you would stop reading once you're out of the textbook area, once you're out of school. So you have to learn reading from not just your handwritten note, but from your textbook. And not just from the textbook, from the journals. And not just from the journals, but from other publications. Because you have to remember that, as an example, the textbook is usually 5 to 10 years behind what is going on. But what you read on the internet or you read on the journals, on the recent publications, is probably the most latest. So you wouldn't find a textbook on many famous solution providers even from a year or two ago, because the textbooks are old. But however you want to learn is your ability to learn from. And that is an investment. And a part of learning is to improve your own self and to recognize your mistakes. And you should be able to accept the fact that you're not perfect. Of course, everyone knows nobody's perfect, but sometimes people are surprised and say that, am I not perfect? Okay, but we all know that there is no such thing as, failure. And then sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So sometimes you win and sometimes you learn is the philosophy that we would make use here. You have to recognize mistakes, focus on improvement, spirit of helping you. In fact, there is an entire workshop that you can do on the errors that you make, how you can learn from making mistakes, how you can learn from the errors that you make and the types of error that you have. So you can even learn from criticism. Of course, this is the best judge. Constructive criticism is what the top leaders would like for you to say. So if a person is asking you to critique his own self, then he is having an ability to learn, and he has an open mind. Reflect back what you understand the person to have said. Check for understanding. So this is about your ability to learn, and we move on with an open mind. In most psychological behavioral learnings and most psychological literature, you will see how a person is required to have an open mind. So this is This is about how you would move on by having an open mind. Uh, the next slide says analyze and learn. Ask for time, look for action items, act on areas of feedback. This is for you to build on your learning capabilities. And if there is a topic given to you, or if there is a project, or if this is an area of project where you're asked to work on it, then you have to say that, I'm not familiar with this work, but I can learn it or I can look into it. So ask for time. And then same way, whatever action is required is what you would have to learn, um, looking at the literature that you have. And the best way to learn is from feedback. We talked about feedback in the past, and you have to remember that feedback is ubiquitous. I said there is a 30-second video that you should see on feedback. If you type in feedback is ubiquitous, you will see how feedback is important in real life, how feedback is important on the business side. You'll see how feedback is important on the communication side, how feedback is important on the manufacturing side. So it's built in the nature, as feedback is present. It's omnipresent, which means that feedback is always there. Whether you like it or not, whether you expect it or not, feedback is inbuilt and you can learn from it. So that's for you all to see how important learning from the feedback is. And further building on your ability as a soft skill is to make sure that you don't hold any grudges and you have a clean past, or you wipe off everything that was going on. You don't hold on to it. Okay. So in business, when you're in the workplace, you have to remember that nothing is personal. So if you feel that some person is trying to pin you or trying to have the project for any reason but personal, then rest is assured that this might be miscommunication, this might be confusion, this might be an area that is not handled properly, or this might be an area that you need to be giving yourself a second chance. So this is what we mean by clean the air and don't hold on to grudges. You use your emotional, social, and your psychological skills in understanding that this work or this project or whatever has happened is in your best interest, and then your relationship is still the same. All right. The last topic, the last soft skill that you need is networking. Once again, a soft skill that you need, and also a competency, a very important competency. And there are once again, different levels and looking into it. So networking is more than meeting people or connecting with them on the internet. How would you network these days? You would network on the social media, you would network, and then there are in very high profile meetings, conventions, they have a slot allocated for networking, all right? So networking is about, getting yourself ahead in the business. And then one commonly misunderstood aspect of networking is that networking is for your own benefit. But in actuality, networking is also for the other person's benefit. In fact, so it is more of him than you. So this is just so you all know that networking is not to be something, um, something of to be shy about, or to be guilty of, or to be ashamed of. Uh, Networking starts with a need. Now, like I said, if you look at this line, say, think what you can offer. Okay. So networking always benefits your business relationship. It redefines need. But when it comes to networking, think of what you can offer and what you can build on. In asking for other person's need, you would have to identify, the common areas, commonalities. You would identify common interests. How do they mesh with yours and integrate others? Of course, these three are the most common features when it comes to networking, and this is how you would connect with somebody. But here, the intent is the other person's needs, how you can help him. So you are to network, and everyone is to network with the intent of helping the others. So everyone in a session, when they come to network and see how they can help other people, then the purpose is served. Remember, the high-powered sessions always give you a chance to network, okay? It's not like you're stealing the competition, okay? It's not like you're a competition and you're stealing the business away. They offer you a session and they openly say clearly, go and network for the next 15 minutes. Why is it so encouraged? Because this is with an intent to help the others. So the need is identified and then you go with the need to help him. So that's the real purpose of networking. Of course, the newer ways of networking is, as you can see, the icons here, um, very easy to network these days, on the social area, on your social channels, and have a presence. So you're having a presence to help out other people, okay? Now, when it comes to networking, you are to use all your soft skills that you have. And I was pleased to see some of the messages that I got in the recent past from the audience of this series, from you all, was very creative messages. So I liked it, and that's what um, prompted in me, an interest towards, further reaching out. Which means that I was very pleased to see some of the message that I have received from your group. It was very creative. Okay, so I had mentioned in our writing workshop not to just send the button, the message by clicking the button that I want to connect. Okay, try to customize it. Write a few lines. Okay, that makes you stand out. So reach out as much as you can with the intent of helping others on your network. And then this is also not to invade the privacy, and you know when to back off. When a person is not responding, you would be aware of it, and you have to make sure that they are not pressurized or they are not feeling threatened or pursued by you. But of course, there is a way here to block, but that would be wrong. So that's a part of networking. And with that, we are wrapping up our top 10 skills session. And next time when we meet on Wednesday, we'll be using these top 10 skills that we have and moving out into the business area with the topic or the title, business acumen, where we will look at some different areas of business, how you have to build on it from a soft perspective. This is not to say that you really have to know that part of the business very well or up to the level of certification. I would never encourage anyone to get any certification, but that's a different topic. But right now, we have summarized our soft skills and we have taken them in the best order. And then we are going to build on it. And we will use these soft skills to move ahead in some non-soft or not so hardcore area of the business and how to build on it. With that, I'm gonna open up the Q&A section of whatever time we have left. In fact, we can exceed the time if you all are okay.
Surely, sir. Thank you, Mr. Shasa, for letting us learn 10 soft skills for managers. I'm sure all the participants must have got benefited by today's session. Being a manager myself, I found it extremely helpful. Thanks again. Let us now take questions. So the first question today is from Dr. Muhammad Khurshid Akhtar Sahab. He says, what is the difference between manager and a leader? Are the same soft skills of managers apply to leaders or project heads too, or is it the different ones? Please elaborate.
Well, there are a lot of funny jokes between managers and leaders. I'm sure you have run into it. But we have a module, leadership skills, and there are many executive programs for leaders. And as I said, there are levels of indicators under these soft skills. So for a leader, for a leadership position, you have to totally rely on soft skills. And for a manager, it's a technical position where your hard skills come into the picture. So this is a very wide topic. If you are with us, maybe we'll have leadership skills, uh, a session soon. But I'm going to tell you one thing. There's a famous principle known as, I'm going to end it with this phrase. There's a famous principle known as the Peters principle. So you can check it out on the internet. It says, all managers rise to the level of incompetence. Okay. So it means that as you move up, as you progress, you are at a point where you lose all your skills. You become incompetent. Okay. So the same is true of leaders. A lot of people can do the work better than the leaders, but they remain the leader for whatever skills that they have. So as a leader, you would build on your soft skills more than anything else. And if you take a look at the video of any CEO, for example, Southwest Airlines, it's a very profitable airliner in the United States. And his CEO is very well known. Take a look at his video, what he does as a CEO. And then you will see that he's just talking, laughing, smiling, traveling, hugging, and whatnot. So that's how leaders are. So I'm going to say you would rely on the soft skills, same that managers had, but at a higher level. The level of indicators would be higher as a competency. We designed some competencies for a CEO in the past, and then those are something for anyone to follow. So you can check out the competencies that the directors and the managers have, the CEOs have, and follow them. All right, next.
Okay, so the next question is from Malika Sayed. She is asking, due to age difference, there are many issues in the team. If in case the team leader is younger as compared to the team workers, then in that case, how to lead the team as a whole?
I'm reading your question. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't see that as a reason to be aware of, team leader is younger. That's maybe regional or cultural, if the team leader is young, the team leader himself, would have to just delegate. And if a team member happens to be older than the team leader, then it is a responsibility on the older member to be physically, emotionally, and socially aware, and take up his role as a team member younger than him. This could be a cultural issue, but if there is no biased, attitude from the team leader, then it's only his inner feeling that he will have to overcome. And in most cases, when the team leader is younger, or the team leader himself will never be biased, because that's one of his requirements. He's competent to be a team leader, and he's going to be fair and unbiased. So it would just be, an inner feeling, an emotional behavior of the younger team member to think that he is, being, not taken seriously, or not, not up to the park. So it would just be his inner self that he would have to rectify. Next.
All right. So the next question is, dear sir, my question is, I'm a final year student, but I'm confused in multitasking. Please give me suggestions regarding multitasking.
Well, you're not supposed to multitask. So when it comes to being in your work environment, you're not supposed to multitask. You saw a slide, it decreases your efficiency by 30%, and it creates miscommunication. So don't ever multitask, just do one thing. There's a case, if you see the module for today, there should be a case in there that you can read. So don't ever multitask, it's not good for your brain. Next.
The next question is from Syed Abuzar. Apart from soft skills, what are the key characters a leader should have?
Well, they build on They build on their technical skills, and the soft skills, within the soft skills area, you have to build on the interpersonal roles, how you can be interpersonally efficient with everybody. So all you have to do is build on your emotional roles, your soft skills, and your, I would say just the soft skills, nothing else. Look into emotional intelligence and empathy to build on it. Next.
Okay, the next question is from Sayed Malika. How to handle provoking negative criticism or feedback in the workplace?
Well, negative feedback is negative only when you analyze it in a group setting. So if there is a feedback that's coming to you, and if it's a negative, then you have to make sure it's negative by everyone, for everyone, not just for you. So you have to rule out the bias or the negative aspect of it. And secondly, if there is a negative feedback given to you in person by your manager to say that, well, this is the mistake that you did, then you know the mistake that you have done and you learn from it. That's the aspect of business. So you learn from your mistakes. So if it's a real feedback that's showing some disproportionality or lower productivity or impact on business, then you just try not to do that again. There is a case in the module that you will see how a mistake was looked upon and then it was avoided. It's very easy to avoid the mistake when you know where the mistake is, right? So that's how you do. All
Okay,
right,
so the
next.
next question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of social networking in business?
It's all to the advantage. There are no disadvantages. Okay. If your time is being consumed for social reasons, then you're losing time. Then it's not a time management. You're not being efficiently managing time. So it's all to your advantage as long as you don't, you know when to back off, like you saw on the slide.
All right.
All right. Next
So
question.
the next question is, employability skill is often used in place of soft skill. Can employability skill include both soft and hard skill?
Yes, it's both hard and soft skills. We're only talking about soft skills, but without your hard skills, you won't be able to get in, right? So employability refers to hard and soft skills. My area is soft skills. Hard skills is your school, your college, your degree, or whatever technical education you have is your hard area. So you need both. And that's what employability refers to.
Okay.
Next.
Thank you. The next question is from Sharik. How to handle nepotism, ego, politics in a working environment or with the acquaintances?
Well, you just have to be, you just have to be fair with your hard work, with your efforts, with your contract, with what is expected in you. And then if nepotism goes on, then it should be brought to the attention of your seniors or whoever. And if you think you have been unfairly, if you have been unfairly denied your right, then you have a right to report. Okay. So it should not go neither underreported nor not reported. This is a requirement, of every business to report, and this will work to your advantage. Because remember, in the HR, we talked about how HR is expecting your loyalty. So HR is supposed to be loyal to you and not to the owners. Okay, next.
Okay, so since we are running out of time, I would like to take one more questions, which will be
Sure.
the last question today. It is as such, I am from engineering field with 6 years of experience. I'm switching my profile into a business analyst role. What would be your suggestion to me?
Okay, I would always recommend you all to move up into management. So if you're coming up from your technical to a managerial position, that's a step up. Okay, so that is a very good thing. And then you know simply put, management is always on the top. So you would work on it, and build on your business school. Getting a master's degree in business would be a good option. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Shah Saab. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. I
Sure.
would request Mr. Saeed Saab to talk about LMS for a few minutes today again, so that our attendees can understand the LMS and its working, since they have multiple questions.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shah Saab.
Sure.
Thank you, Shasab, and thank you, Mira. Since we are running out of time, okay, I would just quickly share my screen and show you what is this LMS all about. For those who have already attended the previous sessions, you have a very fair idea about what is this learning management system. So whatever courses are being, taught in the webinars. So we have, a follow-up learning management system here. So the link is already been shared in the chat window, how you are going to sign up. So once you sign up, okay, you get to see this dashboard, and this dashboard basically has the courses, the list of courses. So far we are done with business writing, communication strategies, and now we have completed this 10 soft skills for managers. So if you want to begin with this course, 10 soft skills for managers, just click on continue. And before I click on continue, I would like to tell there are a lot of queries coming in that the users are not able to access the courses anymore. Yes, the courses are open only for a week or 10 days, and we expect you to take the courses e-modules before the date expires. And so the 10 soft skills for managers will be available till the 22nd of July. So after 22nd of July, this course also will not be accessible. Only the assessment portion would be accessible. Only the assessment portion. So the remaining, the modules, what you see here. So these are the different modules available that we are providing along with, the LMS, the particular course. So first is the introduction. So introduction, you just get to understand what is this course all about. And then you have this e-learning module. So this e-learning module is basically the entire presentation what Shah Saab has in fact spoken about. This contains all the modules. So this is a very critical module for you to go through. And after that, I will not go through this course, but you can just click on start and then you can get started from here. And then you have an assessment. So this assessment is must for you to get your certificate. So please understand that there are 25 questions here. So all these 25 questions are from the module or from the lecture what Shah Sahab has just explained. And then you just have to click on take assessment, and then you have to get 80% of the marks. 80% of the total marks. If you get, only then you would be issued a certificate at the end of all webinars. And then there are other supporting material too. There is an action plan. So that action plan, you can just click, and then yeah, this is how yeah, the action plan would look like. So you can just go through that action plan as well. What is this? What is the action plan all about? And then there is a recommended reading list as well, from Shah Saab has given us the recommended reading list. So just click on that recommended reading list, and you will be able to get the list of books. So just use the books, and then at the end there is a self-evaluation. This is how the self-evaluation form would look like. So you can do it manually, you can download it, okay, and then you can rate yourself on this self-evaluation portion of it. Yeah, so recommended reading list. So these are few books what Shah Sahab is recommending. So once you finish off this, so to go through all these modules, you have a date of till 22nd of July. Please make sure that you are, and after that these modules would disappear. Only the assessment module would be remaining. Before I end, okay, one common query again that I would like to address is people are saying that even though they are completing the course, so still on the dashboard they are getting a message saying incomplete or continue. Yes, that is because you can take the course and assessment n number of times. Okay, so we have kept it open as many times as possible. Please feel free to take the assessments. The only thing that is necessary for you to get the certificate is the assessment. So you have to take the assessments, only then you would be getting the certificate. And to check your assessment results, how you have fared in the assessment, go to analytical reports, and in this you will find all your reports how you're faring in. And then at the end there is one option called as user assessment details. Okay, so this report will give you an idea about how you've performed in your assessment. If you feel that you have not taken your assessment right, then in that case go back and then you can take the assessment again. Okay, so you can just select the assessment from here. So for example, if I want to select how I've done in business writing, select the assessment name business writing and click on search. So if you've taken the assessment, you will get to see the result here. Okay. Yeah, so this is about your LMS. So uh, and then also one last thing is that please check your spam folder if you don't see the emails in your inbox. Okay, so that's one another point I would like to mention. So this is it, and yeah, and I hope that please enroll and then take the courses, take the assessments, and also go through the reference material and the reading material and the other notes that are being provided to you. Yeah, thank you so much, and over to you, Humera.
Thank you, Said Saab. Thank you so much for this information. And thank you, Mr. Shah Siddiqui Saab, for today's wonderful session one again, once again. To all the attendees, it was extremely great to have you all on board today. We have covered 3 modules today. And we will be doing next topic, which is business acumen, on Wednesday, which is 15th July, same time, 7:30 p.m. IST. So we would request you all to please join us for that session too. AMP organizes these sessions by highly qualified professionals and experts in their respective fields to share their learning and viewpoints to guide everyone with their own life experiences. We request you to keep coming for these sessions. You can also spread the word about us and our sessions in your network. Keep yourself updated through our website, www.ampindia.org. /pass web talks. Thank you. I'm Homera Kabir. I was your host today. I'm signing off now. Thank you. Thank you once again.